Welcome to SBCA's Member Connection, where we dive into the value of SBCA membership and the people who help shape our industry. Today, we're joined by Greg Greenlee to talk about something every component manufacturer and framer relies on, which is the BCSI. Welcome, Greg.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just dive right in. For those who aren't familiar, what is BCSI and why is it so important to our industry?
So BCSI is pretty much the flagship document that SBCA puts out. And BCSI stands for Building Component Safety Information. And it pretty much is the document that we provide that provides guidance for how to properly and safely erect a structure.
So what are some of the recent updates and revisions to the BCSI that you guys have been working on?
Yes, over this past probably couple years, we had a committee of about 17 people that got together every other week for a couple hours at a time. And we ended up with this document that we're calling BCSI 2025. And it is pretty much a complete overhaul of the previous version of the document. Previously, the document was more or less just a compilation of different documents that were called B-series documents, B1, B2, B3. The new version of BCSI 25 is organized more in a chapter layout, kind of like a typical document you might see in the industry. And then each of the chapters has a specific topic to it, whether it's temporary bracing or permanent bracing. And then the document itself just flows from beginning to end, kind of like you would go through a project.
So what drove the need for these changes? Was it field experience, safety issues, evolving practices, a combination of all of those?
Probably the biggest driver was there was a recognition that the content of BCSI was really good. But there was a bridge to gap between taking this really good content and figuring out how to have it applied properly in the field. Because a document that isn't easy to use or easy to understand isn't going to be used in the field. So that was one challenge. And then the second part is, every now and then you just need to take a look at these documents and make sure that they're reflective of the current state of practice. Buildings codes change, things like that. There's an evolution to the industry. So it's always a good practice just to stop and take a look at the documents to make sure it's reflective of what's currently going on.
Can you give us an example of a revision and explain why it matters in real world applications, like on job sites?
The biggest improvement we made, in particular with like temporary bracing, for example. Again, the BCSI previously had recommendations for temporary bracing. They weren't very practical though. So one of the things we did when we started working on BCSI 2025 is we brought in a lot of framers to help us. So they were able to bring in that real world of experience of this is how things actually work in the field. And we added a lot of different options and scenarios for temporary bracing. And again, it's just to that point, you have to provide something that's reasonable and realistic in order for it to be used.
So how do you recommend companies use BCSI materials in training or job site communications?
From a training standpoint, again, the BCSI document is going to lay out the industry's recommendations for safely installing and erecting these types of structures. The component manufacturers are in a really unique position where they're the people working with, not only the design community, but the building officials, but then they're also providing the information to the framers and installers. So a lot of the ways they're the catalyst to really provide this information. In the same hand, the building officials, that they would certainly want this information. So when they go to a job site, they can look at what is installed and see if that aligns with the recommendations that we're providing. Certainly framers, installers, this is the document that they would rely on to use to know if they're properly installing these structures.
So where can members access the most current version, and are there tools or resources to make it easier to implement in their businesses?
Yes, so the new BCSI 2025 is available through SBCA's website. There is a print version you can order. It's also available electronically. And then similar to previous, where we have the different B-Series summary sheets that are provided in the job site packages, we have updated all of those documents as well to match and align with the recommendations in BCSI 2025. And those are available as well through the website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Greg. And we are looking forward to getting into all the nitty-gritties of safety in the industry as we look at BCSI 2025.